DeCastro's mental and financial decline continues. Third day of TeamBLZ.com failure. Long Island audits the outside of a prison. Why? What? Huh? Plus, Regan Benson shows off homeless man she's helping, then begs for funding for a homeless family because she spent her tax-exempt organization's money on herself. All this and more on this edition of Auditing Insanity. Good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Auditing Insanity Newscast brought to you by ReallyCoolNews. I'm Johnny Jones, and I want to welcome both old and new fans to our broadcast as we're expanding to new forums, and not everyone knows about what we offer. First off, the newscast started as a daily newspaper of sorts over on ReallyCoolSite.org. The newspaper started all the way back in October of 2022, so we're officially 2 years old now. This newscast started in late May of 2024, but both the newspaper and newscast are still going strong. We have our own Discord server that you can find in the links below this video. The Discord server has automated areas that pull in every YouTube release from most of the members of the auditing and anti-auditing YouTube community. We also feature tweets from a lot of the folks involved in both communities. Our automation is often better than YouTube's notifications, so please stop on by if you're ever wanting to watch the latest videos. While we're monetized on YouTube, since this is our primary job and we're a small but growing channel, we rely on your donations to keep the lights on and the bills paid. It is not a requirement to take part, and you can do so much just by watching the ads on our videos, but everything is much appreciated. Finally, we run what some call the cat grift as we take care of a large amount of cats on our property. With winter coming and our location being a prime place where people dump unwanted animals, we need all the help we can get keeping animals alive over the winter. Right now, we're in need of wet cat food and other winter supplies that can be found on our Amazon registry located below. Again, your patronage means the world to us, and you don't have to support us financially to take part in our channel. Like, share, subscribe, watch the advertising, and you can help out by doing something you were going to do anyway. So thank you in advance for all you do. With that, I've talked way too much, and it's time to ask you to focus on Long Island Audit visits Sing Sing Prison. Sunday saw the latest video release of Sean Paul, Long Island Audit Reyes, an attempted audit of sorts from outside of the Sing Sing Correctional Facility in Ossining, New York. Stopping about 200 yards from the guard tower protecting the maximum security facility, he passed by a fence with instructions on restrictions for entry into the buildings. Reyes did not show any signs restricting access to the area. Reyes calmly walked onto the property and continued towards the facility until a guard in a guard tower asked him if he needed help. A female security officer then drove up and asked him what he was doing in the area. The YouTuber explained that he had every right to be where he was as there were no signs limiting access to the public. When the female guard pointed out that there were posted signs saying that it was state property, Reyes questioned the meaning of state property. In Reyes' explanation, state property was paid for by the public, making it public property. As a taxpayer in New York State, it meant that it was his property and he had every right to access it, especially since there were no signs restricting access. 3 men in red shirts reading that they were weapons training officers arrived on scene and got the same responses to their queries from Reyes. At one point, there was a standoff with the security guard and officers standing around, doing nothing, and Reyes wandering around aimlessly. A 5th security guard arrived on scene when Reyes tried to leave on foot down another road at the side of the facility. He explained that it was private property, which Reyes immediately challenged as it was state and not private property under the definition provided by Reyes. After hours of essentially standing around and letting the sun start to set, Reyes ended the encounter and walked away, proclaiming another victory. Reyes' actions have done nothing to spark the GoFundMe market. As for another day, none of his GoFundMe campaigns have picked up any new donations. Saturday was actually won by our own ongoing expenses campaign, which saw a $10 donation to win the day. We still need your help. Despite the GoFundMe market being dead, this publication is funded by your donations along with what little we make from our YouTube channel per month. While we did achieve full monetization on YouTube, we still need help to get through monthly expenses and keeping the lights on to bring you the paper and the newscast each day. If you can afford it, please consider donating to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All proceeds literally go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing news stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the advertisements on our videos, like share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in.
DeCastro declines further. Will he burn out? Delete Los Jose Chile. DeCastro's decline continued Saturday afternoon as the second half of his Saturday live stream displayed his continuing lack of awareness of his own pending financial ruin. We ended our coverage of DeCastro's live stream for deadline reasons yesterday, as he would go on for another 2 hours after when we needed to stop. That second half started with DeCastro openly wishing violence on Kevin Robinson, a former police officer turned Phoenix, Arizona, city council person. DeCastro was upset about continuing coverage of an assault on a disabled man by Phoenix police, which has drawn an investigation by the Department of Justice. While Robinson said that he'd need to see the footage before declaring his opinion on it, in the clip that DeCastro played multiple times, he said things did look bad for the Phoenix police force. The YouTuber wished that police would assault Kevin Robinson in a similar way to how they assaulted the man on the video. Gleefully wishing violence on the man while laughing and smiling at the thought of the assault. Later, DeCastro again recounted how it only became bad for non-black people to say the harder N-word after the death of George Floyd. He again claimed that no one had a problem with the usage of the word by non-black people before then, and because of it, he had to stop listening to his favorite 90s rap music because he could no longer sing along to the music. He again became weirdly enraged when he was told that Don Newman could not access commissary or make phone calls yet at the Weber County Jail. DeCastro attempted to call the jail multiple times and would not accept that Newman was in initial isolation after being brought to jail and would be able to access her accounts after she was processed. Eventually, he called again and after claiming he was press, was then told they couldn't help him further as they were not allowed to speak to press. He was told to call back during normal business hours on Monday to speak to a public informant officer. DeCastro took in $43 in super chats during the live stream. He wouldn't announce trifold sales for the show, but somehow was giving out 10 free trifolds despite the math not going in his favor for donations towards the free trifolds. The latest promotion saw DeCastro claim that for every trifold bought on his website would result in another free trifold being sent out to a fan with slower shipping and no broccoli wad rubber band. There were simply not enough announced sales and super chats to fund the 10 announced trifold giveaways. The YouTuber only briefly addressed the continuing disaster surrounding his launch of TeamDLZ.com. He promised that it would be fixed on Sunday, but as midday has passed on Sunday the site continues to be down. DeCastro ended his day by ranting about the moon landing of all things, responding to an Elon Musk video about SpaceX on Twitter with, "This is gorgeous." Only thing, about the commentary in this video, we did not go to the moon. That's just not true. We will continue to monitor DeCastro's decline as he tweets or goes live again.
Benson makes fundraising plea for family. Regan Benson was joined by Robert, the man she saved from certain death from frostbite in Englewood, Colorado, last winter, as she made a desperate plea for money on behalf of a family in need in the area. Benson explained that $1,000 of the funding from her Helping Hands for Dignity 501c3 that was earmarked for winter housing had to be used for her legal defense against various cases brought against her in Englewood. With that money gone, She said she had to do a fundraising drive. She quickly raised $120 in the remaining minutes of her 16-minute live stream, now claiming that the money was going to put up a single mother and her 4 children for a week in the hotel that she uses for her homeless outreach cases. The homeless activist claimed that she needed $490 for her goal and wasn't sure of the next step in the fundraiser, as the hotel contacted her directly. Benson previously had announced that she was suspending activity for her homeless outreach program after months of negative interaction with police and city councils in both Denver and Englewood. Benson claimed that an attorney was secured for a lawsuit against police in Englewood for excessive force, and that soon heads will roll. The YouTuber was giddy at the thought of any change to the police in Englewood, despite the urgency and seriousness of her fundraising needs. Robert has been making significant progress since having parts of his foot amputated earlier in the year. To her credit, Benson has been at Robert's side since taking him off the side of the road in a snowstorm in Englewood last winter. The pair were actually celebrating Robert's progress with a steak dinner at Texas Roadhouse Saturday night, with Robert eating 7 rolls and Benson complaining about cold vegetables, when Benson received the phone call about the family in need. Tomorrow marks the first scheduled Englewood City Council meeting since Benson has been banned from the Englewood City Council chambers for 45 days. Just last week, Benson defiantly attended an Englewood Public Library meeting in a thwarted attempt to humiliate a library worker. This is a developing story.
DeCastro verbally assaults woman at police station. I'm Yvette Peterson, and this is a really cool news flashback to January 7, 2023. Jose Chili DeCastro attempted to audit a police station in Henderson, Nevada, on January 6, 2023. DeCastro entered the police station and approached a mom and child. The mom asked DeCastro to tell the child about the rights all Americans have. They had a brief exchange before DeCastro wandered around the station, eventually filming the men's room and a water fountain. The woman again approached DeCastro and asked him to stop filming while her child was being interviewed by a police officer. DeCastro replied that he would move if the woman wanted to share secrets with the police. Then he stood in place. The woman became enraged and began to raise her voice towards DeCastro. Her actions attracted the police, who separated the two and asked DeCastro to exit the building. DeCastro asked the police officers to de-escalate and began to explain that he was a constitutional law scholar and audited for a living. He threatened the police with a civil rights lawsuit if they interfered with his rights. He eventually dismissed the officers, and they walked off once he appeared calm. DeCastro remained in the building for some time after the incident. Eventually, the sergeant on duty approached DeCastro and explained that DeCastro had the right to film in the lobby but did not have the right to film while the minor was giving her personal information. When DeCastro said that he was going to correct the officer declined to listen and walked away. Eventually leaving the station, DeCastro finished the broadcast by making a number of confusing statements afterwards, including claiming to have given up swearing, that his Delete Laws Clips channel was shadow banned, and that the police sergeant did not understand the First Amendment.
And we're back. I talked too much in our intro, so I'm going to leave you with just one extra note before I go. I've mentioned the server crash that took out most of our content on ReallyCoolSite.org back in July. Jim is currently working hard to put that content back up, along with YouTube versions of the content that is long enough to support YouTube videos. Every day in the early morning hours or late night hours for West Coasters, we'll be releasing a handful of new articles on both ReallyCoolSite.org and the YouTube channel. The website articles will just go up without fanfare, but you'll be seeing the videos here on YouTube in the early morning hours. We'll be featuring one of the videos in each of these newscasts for the foreseeable future, so please give us feedback if you'd like to us include them as a regular feature. With that, I'm out of here. Have a happy and safe Sunday, and go team.